Okay, so it was just converting our FAT32 drive to an NTFS file system. That's what it was doing right there. And hopefully the rest of the setup will continue and we won't have any problems. Okay, so it seems like it converted our drive just fine without any problems. Didn't take a super long time, so that's good. This is taking a while. This part of the Windows setup doesn't usually take this long. Okay, we're finally done with that part. That took forever. It's never taken me this long to install Windows 2000 for sure. See, it's weird. Installing devices took forever, but the components of Windows 2000 is almost done already. Doesn't make any sense. And I don't even know what devices it would be installing anyways. It said that VMware tools wouldn't even be compatible. Okay, we're finally almost done with this install. It took probably about twice as long as I thought it would, but alright. Okay, we're finally done with that. I have no idea why that had to take so long. 256 megabytes of RAM should be plenty for Windows 2000. I think once we hit Windows XP is when the RAM is going to start becoming a little bit of a problem. Because the sweet spot for Windows XP is around 512 to 1 gigabyte of RAM. So it might start getting a little slow once we hit that operating system. And I'm not going to bother installing VMware tools on this because I think that'll just be a waste of time. I don't care. Come on, just log me in. That's interesting. It had the Windows 95 startup sound on Windows 2000. Very interesting. Okay, get rid of this. Alright, so let's insert the Windows XP Professional ISO in here. Okay, there we go. Whoa, coloring really off there, but that is not what matters. Okay, and let's see if we're able to do an upgrade here. Yup, we can do an upgrade. Cool. Yup, I accept. Not gonna let me skip the product key, huh? Okay, first try it worked, so here, let's see. Should we download the updated setup files? Nah, we're not gonna do that. Just don't really think there's a point in doing that. Alright, it looks like it's working, so that's good. I think it's interesting that it doesn't say XP on here, it just says Microsoft Windows. And it's not doing anything. It's not like 256 megabytes of RAM. It's not doing anything, it's stuck. Okay, so I just let it sit for about 5 minutes and it started working, so I don't know why it was stuck there. I was doing something. But it's just preparing the installation right now. It hasn't fixed the graphics yet, which I'm a little surprised about. I would think once you would restart the computer that the correct graphics would start working, but no. Well, that's a disappointment. I think if this doesn't work, we are going to have to do a clean install. Okay, we're gonna try this again. If it doesn't work, we're gonna do a clean install. Alright, and let's just see what happens. It's been about 10 minutes and we got the same message again, so. Okay, so got Windows XP installed here. It's just final part of setup. What? Wow, it couldn't even finish the animation. According to how the setup went and speeded this, it doesn't really seem like that this is running very well. Come on, I click next, go. So yeah, I guess Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3 isn't running very well on 256 megabytes of RAM so far. I don't think it likes that. Oh, it didn't ask me to enter a username. Yeah, I didn't think Windows XP was gonna run great with this, but it's slower than I thought it would. It's been at this screen much longer than it usually does when I install Windows XP on 512 megabytes of RAM. Wait, it's not even... It's doing the classic theme? I would think it would change to the... Alright, there we go. I was gonna say, I would think it would change to the Luna theme, because I know that's what happens when you upgrade from Windows 98. It goes right to the Luna theme. I think once we hit Vista, this machine will be pretty much unusable for basic tasks, but we'll be able to run Windows probably won't be able to do more than one tab of internet browsing. Especially with Chrome, because it's so RAM demanding. Jesus, why is this taking forever? You can see this is Service Pack 3 because, as you can see right here, this version of Windows XP comes pre-installed and preloaded with Internet Explorer 8 instead of Internet Explorer 6. Okay, so you can see that the upgrade went successfully because you can see the icon layout right here. If we did a clean install of Windows XP, it would just have the recycle bin icon. It would not have any of these icons on here. So, upgrade did finish successfully, even with the errors. No, I don't care. Just out of curiosity, let's see how it runs. Yeah, I think I'm a little disappointed with this performance. See, going between these takes quite a while. Let's put this at a better resolution first. No. It's always pain when you have virtual machine in it. You have to do it at an odd resolution. Alright. Okay, so, as you can see, Windows XP, professional, running fine. See if we can browse the internet on this. Let's create a shortcut. That's weird. Okay, so I guess we have to use the shortcut. Alright, so far not pleased with this performance. I think Windows Vista is going to run terribly on this thing. Because I've heard that even 512 megabytes of RAM is a nightmare on that operating system. You can see it, internet works. I mean, the performance isn't great, but the machine's usable. And for some people, that's all that matters. So, Windows XP is definitely usable on this, but definitely does not run great. So, let's move on with Windows Vista. So, I finally got the Windows Vista ISO. I've just been really busy, so I haven't been able to record the rest, so now we can continue on and upgrade our Windows XP to Windows Vista Business. What? Are you serious? Okay, this trick works sometimes. What? No. Did I seriously get the 64-bit version instead? I think I got the wrong version. Yep, got the wrong version. It's a 64-bit version, so have to get a new ISO. Okay, I just downloaded a 32-bit ISO, and I saw it included the system requirements here, and it's saying that 1 GB of RAM is required, so I don't know if we will be able to install this, but we'll see. This ISO is supposed to be a Windows Vista Ultimate, which might require better specs than business, but I'm pretty sure you can't directly upgrade from Windows XP Professional to Windows Vista Home Edition. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. So here, let's see. So let's locate my... Okay, I hope this works. This better work. Oh, yep. There we go. And I saw that this one's supposed to be at Service Pack 2 as well, which is the most up-to-date version. And here we go. Windows has detected that the computer has 256 megabytes of RAM, but 512 megabytes is required for the installation. The installation cannot proceed. Uh-oh. Well, I'm not going to be able to do it that way. I have a few more ideas. The first one is going to be booting off the ISO and doing a clean install of this. Otherwise, we will try lower end versions of Windows Vista, such as Windows Vista Starter, Windows Vista Home Basic, or Windows Vista Home Premium. Because I think that Windows Vista Starter should be able to work, but I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. So we're gonna boot off the ISO instead and see what happens if we do that. So I'll just restart the system here. I honestly didn't think the setup was gonna recognize it that quickly. I would think it would get about halfway through and then it would realize, but nope. Okay, here we go. I'm so used to the VirtualBox tools for the shortcuts, but because I'm not as familiar with VMware as I am with VirtualBox. But we're using VMware just because we're dealing with older operating systems and it just works better. Ooh, I've never seen this background in the Vista install before. The reason why I'm trying to do it by booting off is that maybe the setup won't realize that it's 256 megabytes of RAM. But here, let's just hit next. Alright, and then install now, hopefully. Oh, well, that's not going to work either. Yep. We're not going to be able to install Windows Vista Ultimate at least, so we're going to have to try some different versions instead. Okay, so I just downloaded an all-in-one ISO for Windows Vista Home. Wait, sorry, not Windows Vista Home, but an all-in-one for all the editions of Windows Vista. So see if this works here. Come on, it better let me get to the screen where it lets me select which one I want. Are you kidding? I can't even install Windows as a starter. Well, we'll just have to try booting off the disk, but I don't think that would do anything. But I know it's gonna sound really stupid, but let's see if we can actually get Windows 7 to work, because Windows 7 actually works better on older hardware than this piece of garbage OS. So, let's just see. 32-bit professional, okay. Yeah, let's see if this works. There's actually a better chance of this working than Vista. Okay, nope, can't do that. Alright, let's go back to the Vista 1 and boot off the disk. Can guarantee you it's not going to do anything, but I'm going to do it anyways. Okay, nope, we're not going to be able to do it. Okay, so since we didn't get very far with this experiment, we're going to be trying to do this a different way. It's kind of cheating, but it's still kind of not. But what we're going to do instead is, so you can see right here, I changed the RAM on this VM to, where is it? 512 megabytes of RAM. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing the Windows Vista, but then when we're done installing it, we are going to be returning back to 256 megabytes of RAM and see if it even boots up. Since we can't do the rest of the other experiment, I just figured we'd just do this, because this video is much shorter than I thought it was going to be, because I thought we would get at least to Windows 7, but obviously get stuck on XP. So anyways, let's start this up. So now, since that 512 megabytes of RAM is required, we should be able to install this now. And what will be nice about this is we'll actually be able to do a direct upgrade, which we wouldn't be able to do, which we might not have been able to do before. So alright, well, this is good. The setup's working, so we're not going to get the latest updates. There's no point in that. We're probably only going to be using, and we're not going to do this either. We're not going to enter this. There's no point in doing that when we're only going to be booting up the operating system like 2 times. Okay, so we are going to try Windows Vista Business 32-bit edition. So, selected the version, and we'll go next. Okay. Nobody reads that garbage. Okay. So, we're going to do a direct upgrade. That should be okay. I think the only thing that would affect this is VMware Tools, but, you know, obviously you can reinstall that. Alright, and here we go. So, we're upgrading Windows XP Professional to Windows Vista Business 32-bit edition. Because you cannot directly upgrade from a 32-bit version of Windows to a 64-bit. You can't do that. So, I'm just going to let the installation go. I'm going to pause the video, because it'd be really boring if I just recorded this the whole time. I really don't have anything else to talk about, so I'm just gonna pause the video here until we're almost done with the installation. Alright, let's see how far we can get on this. Or if it'll even work. If this is actually on 256 megabytes of RAM, I'm impressed so far, because so far it's been a very quick boot up and we're already off the starting Windows screen. Pretty impressive. Okay, this part's taking much longer. Yeah, this is where we're going to start seeing the slowdown, I think. We don't even have a loading bar, it's just a cursor. Alright, I'm gonna pause the video. This is taking way too long. Okay, so about 10 minutes later, we are finally at the welcome screen. And right off the bat, I noticed that the Windows Classic theme has been turned on instead of what was previously Windows Aero. And it doesn't even look like it's running the Windows 7 basic theme. It looks like it went all the way down to Windows Classic theme, so that's interesting. So, let's get this. Okay. So yeah, right off the bat, it changed the theme, so that's a giveaway right there that it's definitely struggling. Oh yeah. Well, wow, it took forever just to load one icon. Uh-oh. Won't connect to Windows service, okay. Well, looks like that's not going to work now either. Startup sounds still plays smoothly. It's not all, chopped up. Because sometimes that can be what you get if you are on a weak performing computer. And here, just to show you right here, for the 10 years the computer takes to load. Oh my god. Yep, you can see 256 megabytes of RAM. Interestingly enough, it's only 255 megabytes of it is actually usable. Oh, that was kind of weird. And I'm 95% certain if we went any lower than this, the computer just wouldn't boot at all. I mean, this is totally unusable. Like, I just clicked the control panel home and it still hasn't loaded. This makes you actually appreciate having 1 gigabyte of RAM on this operating system, which isn't even very good. first are smooth. Here, let's see if we can turn our themes back on. Nope, can't even select them. Oh wow, you can't even use the Windows 7 basic theme. Alright, so what I learned is that if you put 256 megabyte of RAM on Windows 7, you have to use the Windows Classic theme. You can't even use the Windows 7 basic theme. It's not telling me why I can't, but you can't even use the Windows 7 basic theme, so shows you that this operating system definitely struggles on only running 256 megabytes of RAM. Let's see how many applications we can open at once before it crashes or becomes unresponsive. This thing took like 15 minutes to boot up, literally. We won't be able to do any web browsing because this virtual machine's internet does not work for some reason. Oh, the start menu's not coming up. Okay. Yeah, well, 256 megabytes of RAM might be good on Windows 98, but on Windows 7, totally unusable. Don't try to use this. If you try to use this and you're actually if you're doing actual important tasks on this, even just basic tasks like checking your email, good luck with this. You're gonna get frustrated very easily with this. This is slow. See, even moving the windows around lags. That says something. I'm gonna tell you right now that there's no way Windows 8's gonna work on here, but I'm gonna try it anyways. Okay, starting the Windows 8.1 setup. Let's see how far we can get even on the setup. I'm sure we'll get to like 30 minutes, just 30 seconds into it, and it'll just not work. Oh boy, checking our PC. Let's see how this goes. Oh wow, it's actually gonna let us type in the product key. Okay. Okay, so the Windows 8.1 installer inside Windows wasn't working, so I tried booting off the disk, and I just get this recovery message that says that your PC needs to be repaired. So this pretty much means that there's no way of getting Windows 8.1 on here. I mean, there's no way it's gonna boot with 256 megabytes of RAM. Okay, so I forgot to change the memory size back to 1 gigabyte because when I tried to do it with only 256 megabytes of RAM, it would not let me do the setup inside Windows, so I tried booting off the disk, and I got a recovery, your PC needs to be fixed error, so I realized after that I forgot to change the RAM size back to 1 gigabyte because Windows Vista and above will not install on just 256 megabytes of RAM. So It's back up to 1 gigabyte now. We just booted off the disk, so we're gonna try this again. And obviously the install should work because Windows 8.1 and Windows 8 do support 1 gigabyte of RAM, but then once again, just like the last time when we installed Windows 7, we're going to be changing it back to 256 megabyte and restarting it, and then see what happens. Okay, just enter the product key, accept all this. Sure, we'll try the upgrade. It probably won't take as long. Oh, no, we can't do that. Okay. Okay, so the clean install of Windows 8.1 is just finished, so just have to finish setting it up here. Oh, that's stupid. And this shouldn't take that long. Especially because I don't think this is connected to the internet. Hola. Alright, so you guys can vote in the top right hand corner if you think that Windows 8.1 is going to work on 256 megabytes or not. If I had to guess, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know the official answer from the internet or any other video, anybody else's videos or anything, but I think that Windows 8.1 will not be able to boot on anything below 512 megabytes of RAM. Okay, let's start. Yeah, that didn't take very long. Okay, yeah, you see, the internet's still not working. I'll show you right now that we're... Oh, I'm not going to do it. This doesn't have a stupid start menu. Okay, alright, let's power this down. Let's shut this down. So we can change it to 256 megabytes of RAM. And we'll see if it works. Main reason why I think that Windows 8 won't work with 256 megabytes of RAM is that Windows 7 could barely load with it, and Windows 8 is a more demanding operating system than Windows 7, especially with all the Metro UI stuff in it. But if it did work, it would probably be pretty much useless. So I think we're gonna get that you need to repair your computer screen again. would think we would have gotten an error by now. Now I have no idea how long this is going to take. This might take a really long time. And the cursor isn't even up. Okay, wow. I am surprised. Windows 8.1 has booted and is working on 256 megabytes of RAM. I'm pretty impressed here. But let's see. It's super laggy. Look, this hasn't even loaded. Alright, let's see what we can actually do with this. So, let's see if we can just, like, for example, load the Windows Store. I didn't even think it was gonna get this far, the Metro app. Okay, yeah, whatever. I hate Windows 8. Just like everybody else. Minimize that. Let's try. Oh, the taskbar isn't even up. Let's try like loading up File Explorer. No, File Explorer doesn't want to open. No? I just don't think that's ever gonna work. Oh, these are coming up. Let's see what it's like to move a window around. Wow, it's taking forever just to load the part on the left. This is painfully slow. Let's try it. Nope, it crashed. That's all it took. That's all it took is opening up this PC and it crashed. Let's try opening up the control panel. I have never seen a control panel take that long to load in my life on any computer. Okay. Here, let's see. So, let's look at the. Let's view the amount of RAM and processor speed. And it's saying it's not available. It won't. I guess that the amount of RAM is so low that it can't even. It's not even able to tell you what it is. Wow. It takes forever just to close the control panel. These animations look like. Unlike in Windows 7, the cursor is no longer smooth. It's very choppy. I honestly won't be surprised if we just get a blue screen death on this. Let's try opening up this version of Internet Explorer. Okay, it took 2 clicks for it to respond. Logo finally appears. And nothing's happening. We're just stuck at this screen. It's not even showing the loading bar. Okay, so that was just taking forever, so we're gonna just bring this back to 1 gig of RAM again and upgrade to Windows 10. So let's try to shut this down. It's gonna be like impossible to do though. This is so slow. About 3 or 4 minutes. Definitely way better than the 256 megabyte, but still painfully slow. Like, even on 1 gigabyte of RAM, you would not want to use this during your day. For example, like a netbook, like a lot of netbooks came with like 1 gigabyte of RAM, and they either came with like XP or 7, and you would definitely not want to upgrade them to Windows 8 because it's super laggy and buggy, even up to 1 gigabyte of RAM. Like, if you want the true experience of Windows 8 or 10, you're gonna want at least 2 gigabytes of RAM. I recommend even at least 4, but I think it's just intolerable below 2 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, it's just painfully slow, but the point of this video is not to not for it to be fast, but to see if it just works, just to see if it even turns on is the point we're trying to get to. So probably should have brought this up to 2 gigabytes of RAM, but whatever. It's not letting me keep my apps, that's weird. And the cursor stopped moving. Yeah, this is painful just on 1 gigabyte of RAM. Yes, I want to continue during the selection. Okay, so this particular version of Windows 10 that I have right here is the long-term service branch edition, which is basically just regular Windows 10 Enterprise, but without all the junk, like the Candy Crush that comes pre-installed, all the Metro apps. It doesn't have a lot of those. It just has like the classic Windows 7 apps on, which, I mean, just basically just doesn't have like the Windows Store or anything, but it should run about the same as Windows 10, and it's still Windows 10. It's basically just like the original version of Windows 10 before the creators update and everything, so this should be fine. So we're just going to install this. I'm surprised it's actually going to let us do this in inside the machine, because every other installation I've tried has not let me do it. I've had to boot off the disk every single time. Okay, so the Windows 10 installation process is finished, so we're just gonna go through the final setup. So we'll just do express settings just to get through this quickly. shouldn't take too much longer in the setup because this is, once again, Windows 10 LTSB, Windows 10 Long-Term Service Branch. So it's going to be more of a lightweight version of Windows 10. And when I mean lightweight, just without all the modern apps like Microsoft Edge and pretty much any modern apps. Once again, you know, I think this is still fair for the test because the system requirements are the same, and I think just overall across the board, the performance would be the same. And if this worked on 256 megabytes of RAM, I think that regular Windows 10 would as well. This is just what I had laying around. This is what the ISO that I had ready, and I just did not feel like getting a regular Windows 10 build because I felt that it was not worth it. So you'll see what I mean here in a minute. You'll see that it doesn't come with Microsoft Edge or anything like that. It just comes with stupid Windows Update again. It just comes with Internet Explorer, and for example, once again, no modern apps. So let's take like the calculator for example. So it comes with the Windows 7 calculator, the Windows 7 and Windows 8 calculator on here instead of the modern Windows 10 one that you might be familiar with, which I'll show you when this is done. Okay, and that did not take very long, so let's start. Okay. Let's see if I can change the resolution. It might go back when I change it to 256, though. Okay. Advanced display settings. Yeah, let's go up to 1600 by 1200. Oh, no, too big. 1366 by 768. Alright, there we go. So, we got our Windows 10 Long-Term Service Branch 2016 edition running on our 1 gigabyte of RAM machine as of right now. So, I'll just show you just the main differences of this and regular Windows 10 if you were curious and just want to know what's in it. So, basically, as you can see, no modern apps at all. So, like, for example, like 3D Paint, Microsoft Edge, Calculator, Calendar, Microsoft Store, all that stuff you do not get on here. But, so, you just get the fundamentals, and you also don't get, by default, you don't get any live tiles on the start menu either, so as you can see, you'll see Internet Explorer. I'll show you what I was talking about, the calculator. So, if I, for example, go to, like, Control-R, and calculator, you'll see that it's an old Windows 7 one instead of the modern Windows 10 one that you were used to. So basically just a version of Windows 10 without all of the quote-unquote bloatware. So let's power this off and go to 256 megabytes of RAM. I didn't remove the ISO yet. Okay, we don't get a unable to start screen yet, so that's a good sign. I'm impressed this spinning dot loading thing already came up, because sometimes with lower end hardware, it will take forever just for that to appear, so So far, I'm definitely impressed with this, and the Windows logo's already gone, so far this boot up has been pretty quick, because especially that it's pretty much past the startup screen already. So it should go onto the login screen here any minute now. And I say any minute now instead of like any second now because, for example, on Windows 7 and Windows 8, it just hung at this black screen for like 10 minutes. Which I'm guessing it's gonna do the same thing here, but maybe a little less because Windows 10 has a faster boot up just overall across all hardware compared to Windows 7. Just because it doesn't have to go through as much to start up. So, okay, wow, we're already at the please wait screen. Is that seriously it? I'm not even sure if this is 256 megabytes of RAM. This is like the performance I'd be getting with 1 gigabyte of RAM. So on Windows 8, it could barely handle 256 megabytes of RAM. It took forever to boot up, and when I tried to open up Internet Explorer, it took 3 minutes to load. This is already almost done with the boot up, and it's only been like 2 minutes. Which is very impressive for this hardware. So across the board, Windows 10 might have some good optimization from what we've seen so far. I would guess if this was a regular copy of Windows 10, that maybe it would take, I don't know, like 30 seconds or so longer to boot up, but really, it wouldn't be that much of a difference, I don't think. Okay. It is taking longer than usual for the icons of the desktop background to load, I'll tell you that. Should be a recycle bin icon. Yep. So yeah, alright, so right off the bat, it's having trouble just loading the recycle bin icon, so that's how you can tell, and the taskbar is frozen, that's how you can tell that you are on not very good hardware. So far, this is running better than Windows 7 was, in terms of boot up wise, because Windows 7 just hung on that black screen, like I said before, for a long time, and was on the welcome screen for like 5 minutes, so I'm definitely impressed. I was not expecting Windows 10 to perform better than Windows 7, but it is, so that's pretty cool. So, right now we are waiting for the start menu to load up. We'll try opening up the recycle bin. Let's see how long that takes. See, I mean, there's lag. Like, you definitely wouldn't want to use this as your computer, as your main computer, but it's much better than I thought it was going to be. Okay, well, it is taking a while to load stuff in Windows Explorer, but and again, I have to say I'm impressed with this hardware. trying to get to the About Computer screen so I can see if this is actually 256 megabytes of RAM, or if the settings didn't change. Right now, from judging that I can't move the window, I'm guessing that this is 256 megabytes of RAM. This performance is very, very bad, but it's still better than I expected. For example, still the start menu opening 2 minutes after I clicked on it. Yeah, it's getting laggy. Yeah, so once you boot it, when you're booting it up, it's fine, but once you're in the operating system, it gets slow. I mean, it's not even opening up menu here. Oh, everything's taking forever to load. Look at that lag when you move the window. Can't believe this is actually working. It works, but it's definitely not usable. Here, let's see. View amount of RAM and processor speed. Super laggy and slow, but it works. It's not able to tell me the RAM. Assuming that means it's 256 megabytes, because when I had 1 gigabyte of RAM, it told me that it was 1 gigabyte of RAM when I checked earlier, but on all the other operating systems, but now it's not giving me any RAM, so that should mean that this is with 256 megabytes of RAM. Right here, it's showing us 256 megabytes of RAM, so it's using up about 85% of it, so you only get like 30 megabytes of RAM free to use, so you can pretty much open one program and it's gonna bog your computer down, and it's gonna start creating the page files and not be able to open apps, and it'll just get stuck and possibly get blue screen to death. So you only get like 30 megabytes available of RAM, but this is running. Windows 10 LTSB is running with 256 megabytes of RAM. Okay, so to conclude this video, we were able to get all the way from Windows 98 all the way to Windows 10 LTSB with changing the RAM. So, because once we were trying to install Windows Vista and Windows 7, we were no longer able to do it with just the default 256 megabytes of RAM, because it would not let us install it with under 512 megabytes. So, we had to change the RAM to 1 gigabyte to install it, and then bring it back down to 256 once the operating system is running. So, if you're doing this just on like raw hardware and you're trying to get Windows 10 on your 256 megabyte of RAM machine, You can't do it natively. You have to have at least 512 megabytes to install Windows, but it will work with 256 megabytes of RAM if you decrease it when the operating system is already installed. So, obviously I would not recommend using Windows 10 on 256 megabytes of RAM, or even up to 1 gigabyte. It's pretty much unusable. I mean, it works, but you would be getting a cup of coffee, and it would be like 1/4 of the way done to loading the control panel. So, definitely not usable, but it works, and I'm surprised that it was able to get past Windows 7 running on the 256 megabytes of RAM. So, we're able to go from Windows 98's RAM sweet spot, 256 megabytes of RAM, and it works on Windows 10, which I have to say is pretty impressive. It doesn't run well at all on Windows 10, but it works. So, that pretty much concludes this experiment of seeing how far we can get on 256 megabytes of RAM. So, you are able to run most modern version of Windows 10, on 256 megabytes of RAM. So, thanks for watching this video, and I will be probably doing some more experiment videos like this, maybe with other operating systems, other RAM sizes, in the future, if you guys are interested in this. So, anyways, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.